Hey everyone, let's talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. I played it a few times. Not as much as most video gamers, because I'm not an awesome gamer. I've only played the game a couple of times. And honestly, it didn't really leave that much of an impact on me. That's not me saying I didn't like the game at all. I did like it. I enjoyed it. I just didn't become obsessed with it. It didn't really hit me in a way where I just can't stop playing it, honestly. It wasn't one of those games where after I play it for once, I want to play it more and more. Granted, that's also not me saying that I wasn't scared of it at all. I did get hit by the jump scares a couple of times. I was like young, a child when I was playing it, so anyone can get affected by that. I've honestly had a lot more fun watching streamers play it. I've always enjoyed more of those Let's Plays. Like, there are a ton of YouTubers who did plays on the game, and I've had more fun watching those than playing it myself, if I'm being honest. And of course, all those animations made at the time. The sequels, however, I never touched either way. I've never played, nor have I watched Let's Plays of. I've always focused my attention to the franchise on just the first game. Again, not because I hate the other ones. There's only so much that can be done with such a simple idea, I feel like. So I've mostly had my focus on what the first game had, and anything involved with the sequels, I just haven't really been focused on. But anyway, that's what my mindset was on when I saw that there was a movie coming out based around this popular video game. I knew it made sense. I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's is such a popular video game series, it only made sense to put it on the big screen. And it does seem like one of those games that does have benefits to work for a big theatrical showing. Unfortunately, the movie we got, it did please a good amount of fans. I do know a lot of fans are saying that it was a great movie. I didn't think so. I hated it, honestly. I guess since I'm just more up with movies than I am with games, it's could have a factor, but overall, I just thought it was a bad movie. I was mostly just focused on how it works as a horror film, and it just didn't do it. It's so stupid, honestly. I get it's going with the same idea, but they threw in too much stupid stuff to it. It's like they could have very easily have given it a fun, mature approach. I didn't think it would be that hard to do. But yeah, no, I just didn't like it. Now, normally that would mean that when the sequel comes out, which I knew they would have to make because, yeah, this movie was a hit, I would be like, hell with that, I ain't going for that. I already hated the first movie, why should I watch the second one? But for some reason, I wanted to see the sequel. Why? Maybe because I thought that there was going to be some more beneficial elements for a sequel. I guess since I knew that the first movie, as bad as it was still sequel worthy, I got interested to see the second film. It's just I feel like that's the case with movies. As bad as they are, you still will see the second one if you think that the movie was sequel worthy. Or I guess if you want to see if they can improve on anything. That's kind of what my mindset was on when I was gonna go see this second film. I didn't know a lot about the sequels, like I said, but I did understand a little bit about like what new characters there were and sort of what the designs are like. So um, I guess it would have been fun to know that I wouldn't have to worry too much about comparing it like I was with the first movie. But yeah, either way, I still thought that maybe there can be new things to improve on with this franchise. Maybe it can expand it. It could be like the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise of movies where they'll just make as many movies as they can with just one silly gimmick. I feel like that could be done with Five Nights at Freddy's now. So yeah, I went to the mindset, saw the movie. I figured I might hate it, but I still want to get an opinion out of it. So here's what mine is. All right, so for the story, let's kind of jot it down. We open in a past setting of the 80s of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, or more like Freddy Fazbear's Amusement Center, because this is not your everyday Chuck E. Cheese. This Freddy Fazbear's location that we open with is like, it features more rides and such. It's way too exciting and expensive than your average pizzeria joint, so that's kind of what they were going with. And we focus on this weird interest case where one little girl sees a bunny, giant golden bunny, and tries to see where it goes. And when he sees it, she then pops out, and to scaring every other child who isn't focused at all on what's going on, they're just sitting there with their bad acting. Every other character, other than the main one, has bad acting apparently. But yeah, only she knows what's going on, and then the flashback ends with her just showing up on stage completely wounded. That's the end of that. After which, we then cut to present time. And by present time, I mean this movie takes place in the 2000s, apparently. I mean, granted, I know nowadays it'd be hard to set a movie that's supposed to be taken seriously when nowadays we're just like, yo, look at this bear acting all strange and such. Follow me on TikTok. So yeah, no, we gotta make this more past setting to help keep things at the right moment. So our movie takes place in the 2000s. And of course takes place after the events of the first movie where our main protagonist is still recovering from the not scary events that occurred. But apparently his daughter still misses these animatronics and still wishes she could be friends with them. Because all she does is talk about them at school. And surprisingly, to this movie's defense, they do a good job at playing it off as it not being her telling the story and everyone's like, haha, you suck because you're making something up. No, they actually do listen to her story and she does actually have a press. Then again, it does also come off as stupid when they point out that there's this thing called Fast Fest. It is so dumb that they included it. It's like trying to pay homage to YouTubers and such, trying to be like, hey, remember when everyone was starting a fan club on this video game or whatever? It's just a stupid add-on to this film that didn't need to happen. It was dumb. Fast Fest, that was stupid. But anyway, we see that her teacher is Wayne Knight, aka Newman, aka Dennis Leary, aka I've seen a lot of Wayne Knight appearances, so you know I was able to recognize him off the bat. But anyway, yeah, he is the one who doesn't like her stories, not because he doesn't believe them, but because he thinks they're an insult to science. They're an insult to a lot of things, but I guess that works too or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's her plot point, a science fair or whatever. Oh, and also, she apparently we then find out about this new location through a couple of random folk touring it, just like in the last movie. In this movie, we have a couple of random filmers who want to film this location as they tour around the abandoned joint, and that's where hell breaks loose when all the new animatronics start going crazy and actually pose a threat this time. I mean, last movie they posed a small, like 10% of a threat. But here they actually do pose a bigger threat as they scare these locals. I mean, they act stupid just like every other horror movie, but still, I guess if I can get a little scared from it, I guess it works kind of. Anyway, yeah, so that happens. Now, of course, we have to deal with more problems with this little girl wanting the animatronics that she fell in love with to come back to life. So she tries to bring back to life, but the father's like, no, don't do that. They're scary. They're going to kill us, even though they imply pretty well that they're not going to kill us. So I don't know exactly why I'm scared. But anyway. Anyway. She goes there to try and bring him back, but then the father comes in, brings her home, lets her hold on to one random item they found there, which just so happens to be an ultimate new weapon for this new Freddy Fazbear's joint. When she turns it on, apparently it talks to her. It tells her, go to this new location. You won't be disappointed and such. So she follows it. She knows where it's located. Must have given her the address, or I guess, and sees how creepy the new animatronics are. Apparently, they're called toy versions of them. So instead of Chica and Freddy, it's Toy Chica, Toy Bonnie, Toy Foxy. That's a thing. Okay, that is a thing from the games. There's just brighter, shinier variations that are called Toy these, I guess. She meets Toy Chica. In this movie, she is voiced by Megan Fox. Yes, Megan Fox is voicing characters now. That's sad. I really hope she doesn't get used to doing that. Don't ask me why, but anyway, she's voicing the Toy Chica. God forbid, but whatever. And she says, I must release. I want to be your new friend now. She's like, oh, cool, we're friends. Yay. Yeah, clearly, after all that events that occurred, she's still this butt stupid about animatronic friends. I don't know how I feel about that. They befriend them. They help her with her science project. But when she takes it in, the teacher picks it up and breaks it on accident because he doesn't want that stuff in his fair. And then the little girl sees this and she's like, Newman. Okay, she doesn't do that. But she does go back to Chica, tells her what happened. She's like, oh, did he now? She brings her and is like, I'll be your science project. That's really what happens. So she brings her there, and then she, of course, murders Newman. Wayne Knight, whatever. Anyway, yeah, she murders him. off screen. It can't show too much blood. They gotta make this PG-13, I guess. But anyway, yeah, that happens. And then the other toy versions are released as they cause havoc. And now it's up to the father and his girlfriend, who was the um current employee from the old Fazbear's place that he fell in love with last movie. Yeah, they're throwing a romance back at us here, because why not? And now they have this big adventure where they have to turn all these new animatronics off. They gotta disconnect them, and it's a problem because they actually do pose a big threat. But some of them go their own ways. Toy Chica is just standing there with the kid at the science fair. She doesn't really do anything. Like, she murdered the teacher, and then after that, she's just like, "Hi, how you doing?" We see Toy Bonnie going to murder some parents. Apparently, all the other ones are murdering parents. They say that parents should be killed because of some incident that involved a parent, I guess. And they're like, now all parents are a threat. It's like they're racist towards parents. But yeah, so they want to pose a threat of killing parents and such, and they try to, but of course they have to disconnect them. And how are they defeated? I'll tell you how they're defeated. The little girl finds a way to get the old animatronics running, and has them take the toy versions down. Yes, they literally have a brawl between the classic animatronics and the toys. Yeah, they just kill the toys, easy peasy. So yeah, these guys are still our heroes, everybody. Let's root for them, because they gotta buy their game somehow. And after that, it seems like everything's over, except the girlfriend. I'm not giving these guys real names. The girlfriend apparently isn't going with them because he's like, "You lied to me, you betrayed me, you're one of them, you knew about all this, I don't like you." Or whatever. Oh, and we also find out that William Afton, the Matthew Lillard guy from the first movie, well, he appears briefly, and apparently they reveal that they're related, so there's that going for it. And there's also, he has a son who sets up this situation. He literally says that he's following his father's footsteps. That's literally what he says. God damn it, they gotta keep the Afton family tree setting up these incidents. So for the third movie, we're gonna see that he has another son who wants to rear the footsteps or whatever. But here's the thing. The girl is still left there, as she apparently ends up glowing yellow eyes. And then, boom, end credits. They're literally doing their hardest to set this third film up. I mean, why? Okay, I know lots of great movies can do that, but why here and now? Okay, we're supposed to recover from this. No, we don't really have this much time to be immediately setting up a sequel. Okay, I don't want to do that. I want you to end this movie nice and briefly, but still make sure the gimmick doesn't die too much. So it's like they say, all right, well, guess we're going to have to hug you and such. And then they leave, and then we see a little shot that would imply that there's going to be a chance they'll come back. But no, they got to immediately set up what we're supposed to expect in the third film that may or may not be made. I mean, this movie already a hit, so they definitely should make it. But still, man, I seem to be mixed about that idea now. Some cases do it, but honestly, I don't know. I guess I'm just not into it anymore. Okay, so this movie's genres: horror, mystery, and thrills. This movie's horror, compared to the first movie, I'll have to say, is a little bit better. Now, keyword is a little bit. The horror is still wonky and silly, but they did find a way to actually make us scared at times. Make me scared a little bit. I'll admit, I was surprised with how scary they actually did with this movie. The first movie I was so annoyed with how unscary it was, but this time around they actually did make us scared of these new creatures. I mean, we have every right to be. They're killers. They're not the ones that we have to love. No, they're the ones we love to watch get killed, I guess. And they actually did that. I mean, the designs are still cheeky and too cartoony, but at least they do still show up threats. So I would go with that. And there actually are scenes where we meet this other girl possession. I forgot exactly what it was meant to be called, but it's realistically scary. It's the one realistic scary aspect this movie threw at us, and I like it. So the horror in this movie is not great, but it is a step up. So I'll give the movie this. The horror does improve itself from the first movie. Maybe not by a lot in terms of other horror films in general, but for these movies, I guess I am proud to see that this one actually threw in more scary moments for me. So good. You got me scared a little bit. Not much though. I'll sleep. I'll sleep fine already. I'm already tired. Now, what's the mystery of this film? It's kind of just kicking up from what the first movie had. There were a few unsolved mysteries the first film was trying to keep us touched with, but not really that many memorable ones. This one was mostly just setting up new mysteries. Like now we have this new Freddy Fazbear's because they gotta tell us that this is a chain, this is a series of restaurants. It's not just one Fazbear's Pizza. No, we got tons of restaurants to focus on. We're expanding as hell. I mean, how many are there? Is it like Chuck E. Cheese where there's like one in every state at least? Imagine that's going to be what the situation is by the time the franchise is over. They'll make 50 of these movies, one Five Nights at Freddy's per state. Though, then again, there are only like 5 or 6 games, so probably only be like 6 movies at least. But anyway, yeah, so that's the new mystery. What's this new place like? Why is it so cool looking? These creatures, are they possessed kids? Sort of, but at the same time, they kind of throw that and then slip it off. It wears off when we get to that whole dreaming situation with when William Afton returns in a dream sequence, and they try to give us this exposition in this weird, suspenseful fashion, but I was kind of hoping for an easy explanation. I know that sounds like me saying I don't want you to be creative with your explanation. Just say it as is. But in some cases like this, I feel like they should say it as is. They point out the idea about this is a new place and we got these new toys who experienced an incident where now they are against all parents because of one situation involving parents. So they want to throw in this anti-parents movement. That's kind of what their goal is. They're just gonna kill random parents they find. Sort of. I guess it's mostly just I guess. Okay, this movie would probably be better if it was reviewed by someone who's a huge FNAF fanatic. So I feel like I should have called Markiplier. He would have done it for me. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of where the mystery goes. We gotta follow exactly what their plan is, how to stop them, and what causes them to charge, and where the kids play into that role. They're possessing the animatronics. That's what the idea is. Believe me, it's just as dumb as they explained it in the first movie. So honestly, the mystery in this movie was not better than the first one, nor was it worse. About the same. But here's one defining factor I think that should be defined with these movies: suspense. Because one of the main, most popular aspects in the Five Nights at Freddy's games are the jump scares. We know it. You know it. Every person who's played this game, that's what I love about watching Let's Plays of Five Nights at Freddy's. Just the reactions people have to these jump scares. Because that's a big popular factor with the games. So, does this movie improve with them? Yes, but also no. I say that because there is only, I think, 2 jump scares in this film that got to me and were good for scares, but that is an improvement compared to the first one. In general, it's stupid, weak, but at least they wanted to get the jump scares in there a little bit. There was one jump scare they threw in where it's like, ha, gotcha, or like 2. There's a couple actually, but yeah, I guess I can hate the movie for that. But at the same time, they did throw in a couple of little jump scares that were actually meant for the scaring part. So I guess I can applaud the movie for doing that, maybe. But I don't know, man. They weren't that really that great at all in general. I guess it's just a sign that this movie might end up getting scarier as they go on. But it still doesn't do enough to really make this movie salvageable for me. And personally, I feel like the kind of horror that this whole series would have just doesn't do it here. I guess I give this movie credit for trying more at scaring, giving us the scares and fears. but it still wasn't enough for me to say this movie was good. So here's my final thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I did honestly think it was a little bit superior to the first one by just a little bit, because it is still a really bad movie. The horror in it still doesn't hit as good as as a movie like this should have. A lot of the story elements were dumb. The plot runs cheap. It's ridiculous. It acts too ridiculous for a plot that I feel should work in a good, serious manner. Most of its flaws are similar to the ones of the first movie, with the one exception of this movie being a tad scarier, but not incredibly scary in general. So, I hope that what I'm saying makes sense to what I feel about this movie. I hope it wasn't like, this was good, this movie sucks. No, I was trying to be clear with everything, but honestly, this movie just still falls flat at actually being taken seriously. And it's not meant to be a comedy. Maybe if they made this work as a comedy, I would have accepted, but clearly they're trying to make the Five Nights at Freddy's games have a serious, exciting, and scary impact in cinema. And so far, they're not really doing a great job with it. So I'm hoping if, or more so, when the next movies will come out, they will start to get more and more scary as they go on. Or at least acknowledge their silliness. That would work too. Maybe that's just what I feel. I feel like as far as video game adaptations go, we are getting some better ones compared to most ways of how video game adaptations worked in the 90s and 2000s. But it's going to be one good one, then another bad one. Next year, Mario's coming back with a sequel. It's probably going to be the next video game adaptation I'll review. So stay tuned. See how I know a lot more about Mario than I do about FNAF. So I probably should be more video game talking in that review than I am here.